Hey everyone. We have got Adonis with us today. So welcome to the weekly AMA first of all. And as usual, the agenda is pretty much simple. We are going. It's always about like figuring out how to win, and it's always about like doing things and winning in crypto. And we have got an awesome guest with us today, Adonis. And about him, I'll think he'll be able to share us a little bit more about himself and. Yeah, before that, if you are new to crypto and if you're trying to just score your first big win, then I think this AMA is for you. And yeah, I think we can start with the consent. And hey, Adonis, welcome again. And maybe we can just start with a little bit of your introduction and uh, the things that you are kind of immersed in right now.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's a pleasure to be here on the show, of course. I've been following Wormhole India for quite a while, so it's definitely life coming full circle now that I'm on the show myself. I would describe myself as an aspiring educational content creator at this phase of my life. In the past, I've worn many different hats. I worked in a very prominent agency known as Radar Block. I have, worked with Polygon. I've worked with Olympus DAO and many others as well. So that's a little bit of a brief background about myself. I come from India myself, particularly. It's a very small city known as Bareilly. I don't know how many of you actually are aware of it if you're tuning in. It's a small town in Uttar Pradesh, but that's where I hail from personally. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I hope that something that I say resonates with a few of you, and you're able to make a big breakthrough if it helps.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is a good intro to start with. But yeah, I think we can just start from the origin, like your origin, your crypto origin story, or like what was your like first gig or freelance, or like your first bounty or a first job. Maybe we can just start from there.
Yes. So due to some circumstances in my life, I had realized that okay, money is really, really important. And I realized that the degree I was pursuing at that point of time, at least within India, would not yield me so much money. So everybody, I think a large majority of people enter into crypto for the money. And there's nothing wrong with it. Then of course, over time you develop your own strong preferences for why you choose to stay in the industry, right? So that's how I also got started. I always give credit to one of my seniors in college. His name was Asif, and he was like the head of DeFi at Polygon as well. He's now an advisor to Radar Block, and he's the one who actually really urged me to get started in crypto. And I still remember back in the day, I used to look at it very skeptically, not believing anything. This is like 2021, right? So Bitcoin's mooning, everything is very positive, but I had my skepticism, and then one day I decided, what, if he's pushing me that much, of course he has my best interest in his heart. So okay, I'll give it a shot. And that's how I got introduced to bankless DAO and stuff like that. Now for those of you who are new, you may not realize the mania that was 2021. But in 2021, just to give you some context, I went in and I introduced myself in bankless DAO's Discord server, and somebody tipped me. We had tip.cc bot. Somebody tipped me 5 bank. In that time, 1 bank was equivalent to 7 Indian rupees. So I was like, wait a second, I got 5 banks just for saying hi. Like, in what world is that a possibility? I just got 35 rupees for just saying hi. So that's how my mental math was going at that point of time. And through slow and humble beginnings, God has been really kind to me over the years. So yeah, that's exactly how I got started. That was my first money in crypto. I still remember having a lot of difficulty in cashing it out because I had no idea what the hell was gas.
Yeah. Um, I think the UX is much more frictionless now. I think with a lot of, I'd say, service providers, the on-ramp, off-ramp, and everything. I think it's a lot more better now. I joined crypto in 2023, and one of my friends helped me out with. So my first chain was Solana, and I'm still like a lot more kind of invested in terms of time and energy into Solana ecosystem. So even like one of my friends helped me out with like $2 of gas, which was like a 2 month long thing for me. So, but yeah, I'm more interested in like you have just contributed and worked with top tier teams in crypto, right? Like Radar Block, Polygon, and Olympus DAO, right? I'm just curious to know about like what was your like day-to-day job function? Um, because since this AM is more about like talking about verticals and how to be good at that and building proof of work in that particular vertical and then scoring some sort of opportunities and wins in with this verticals.
Correct. In purview of what the aim of the AMA is, I would say your job function will always be changing in crypto. So that's a more general answer. Your job
Yeah.
function, that which is on the JD versus that which you end up doing, it's always going to differ. It can be more, it can be less. Usually it's more. So that's like the overall story. In terms of my journey, I started off in the field of education, pivoted to marketing, did well there, and then I'm repivoting in some sense back to education itself. One thing that I've realized in marketing is, of course, the idea to predict almost that, okay, this trend or this particular narrative has enough steam that I can somehow link my mission with it. And of course, a lot of studying as well. So it's not that, everybody can one day wake up without any kind of study and just, hit a home run on a marketing campaign. It's always good to study, adventure games, video games, things that keep you hooked on for long. I don't want to use the overused example of casinos, of course, because they tend to have a negative connotation. Video games are, comparatively much more positive. You end up coming back to it and like playing it again and again. I was recently playing Elden Ring, so that experience has really stuck with me. And I was just realizing, oh, you know what, this is actually a very good mechanic. I wonder why more teams are not using it in Web3, right? So things like these are basically what become your day-to-day functioning. And then of course, on top of this pursuit of creativity, which is sometimes elusive, you have the troubleshooting aspect. So in crypto, anything and everything can go wrong, right? There's of course the general day-to-day work of writing tweets or managing keywords or managing quests, at least speaking within the marketing function. But then there will always be some sort of troubleshooting that you will have to do, and it's almost unavoidable, unfortunately, given the state of the industry.
Yeah, and I think this is where, like, as you mentioned about like there was a lot of friction earlier, and then your involvement in all sort of marketing stuff. I think this is where you started with all sort of educational video content, which you are doing currently right now, right? And maybe yeah. So I think if someone is kind of interested in building the proof of work and building their own personal brand in marketing, what would you recommend as someone who is just starting right now? You should do for like next 3 to 6 months to just build a profile and build proof of work and do things. Maybe we can just start with a certain topics which are not addressed yet, and they should like focus on that. Maybe.
I would say sit down for a day or two, figure out what the end game of your life is from your current vantage point, because the end game always changes after like 3 to 5 years, right? Figure out what the end game looks like for your life from your current vantage point. Do something incredibly hard as per social consensus in that field. So you can go run a marathon for the first time without any prior experience or something like that. Document that journey, put it on social media, and see if there's a story around it, right? This same formula works with crypto as well. Somebody who's coming newly into this field actually has that advantage. They just a video idea, because I'm trying to now think in these terms. If you're new, you can simply try out dApps and you can give them a newbie score. A newbie score is not a bad thing. It's simply how user friendly it is to you as a person who's new to crypto. And a lot of projects would really like that. So you have to build your, now this is an example that I gave. If I abstract away the specifics, the general advice is do something incredibly hard, post about it on social media, and keep a track record of it and try to build a following for yourself. That is the best thing that you can do career wise. Back in my day in 2021, you had D work, different bounty boards that could get you into the inner weeds. In fact, that is how I got into Bankless DAO and Olympus DAO. It all started off with like very small newsletter contributions, very small podcast contributions, right? And then it like uh, somehow like catapulted or snowballed its way through into becoming a part of the team itself. That technique, I'm afraid to say, is not working from what I can see in 2024, 2025. You cannot keep moderating a Discord for free hoping to get a free lunch, hoping to land an opportunity. It's not enough to be resourceful, you also have to be impressive. So showmanship has become a really big part in crypto. And I may not personally agree with it, or I may have different views upon it. I'm just saying what I'm observing as like the reality. So you need to have some sort of like a social media following, or you need to be posting some sort of like regular content that shows that okay, this person is in the know-how. I think if you build up your following even a little bit in the next 3 to 6 months, it's the best investment that you will make from a monetary aspect. If you have built that audience on top of pranks or useless things that have no alignment with your life, then okay, that benefit remains restricted to monetary aspect. But if you have done it from that first principles, thinking of okay, what do I think as like the end game of my life, you will also benefit a lot from it mentally, spiritually. You'll have more steam in you to keep going, especially when it gets really, really difficult.
Yeah, this is I would say an awesome response to like how to build proof of work and how to get started. Yeah. So apart from that, just like trying to get more technical into this. Since we're talking about like content creation, I think whatever you mentioned right now is like 80% part of the job, and I think the 20% is all about like maybe all sort of uh using tools, using certain sort of techniques on how to like present yourself, write write threads or articles, or the production work, right? The all sort of production work. So, is there anything that you would like to share? Like the idea is like 80% part, but idea inspiration is the 80% part, but the 20% is the production. Like what goes into that?
I would actually say it's almost 50-50, if not 60-40. Execution is
Oh,
really, really, really important. Um, I can sit here and theorize and come up with all different conjectures, but until unless I put it to the test, all of it falls apart, right? And I
yeah,
may be wrong. Most people are too scared to ever start, and this may be you, because you are afraid to be wrong. But the benefit is at least you get to know you were wrong early, which means you can be correct later. So think of it from that perspective. I would also say, in terms of production, have some sort of a cadence. And this is where I think most people get it wrong. They try to do too much
yeah.
in too little of a time, right? You overestimate what you can do in a day and underestimate what you can do in 5 weeks. So you will try to record 3 videos a day. You will try to do it every single day of the week because you've seen all those Instagram reels trying to tell you to hustle 24/7. Problem with that approach is it's definitely not sustainable. You're definitely going to run out of steam. The better way to do it is to start with one video every 3 days, or one Twitter thread every 3 days. There is no right or wrong answer to this. You are finding your flow. It's not that people are only going to listen to articulate people, or people are only going to listen to people who speak like they're mumble rapping. There is an audience for controversial figures. There's an audience for very timid figures. There's an audience for neon. There's an audience for sneeko. There's an audience for almost everybody on the internet. But you have to hit the nerve. You cannot hit the nerve right if you're pretending to be someone else. So, and you can only find yourself by doing. Most people have it wrong. They have the carriage before the horse, which is that you try to first find yourself and then start. But you cannot do that. You have to have like some missed runs, some dead ends. It's just part of the job. So get it over with as quickly as possible. Think of it like this: you're just like 500 wrong decisions away from a very successful career. So just make those 500 decisions as quickly as you can. I'm not saying with intentionality, make wrong decisions, but don't be afraid, because all of us have made wrong decisions. It's okay.
Yeah, so whenever I think about this, about the production part, because I think I'm also kind of struggling with this, like to putting out what I've been working on recently. Like a lot of my I usually work with Rachit and the other teammates in Wormhole. They usually press me to like, hey, you should put out you're doing things and you should put out about like whatever you're working on right now. And I feel there are two things. The first one is like I like the habit of posting it out. The second one is like maybe if you're just chasing perfection. I think as we mentioned about cadence, right? I think I'm just like floating an idea over here. I think you are a better person to validate that. I think putting out your best work consistently, it could be like a good thread in 3 days. It could be like the next thread could come up in 3 weeks. But like putting out the best work that you can do on a consistent basis is what uh, is what is it is impactful over the period of time. Is it?
Correct. So you're basically going into the quantity versus quality discussion, right? So I always say that quantity is the best friend of a beginner and quality is the best friend of an intermediate, and not doing anything is the best friend of an expert, right? And if you think about it, an expert is a person who does the least amount of steps in order to get the desired outcome. He knows that because he's been through the intermediate stages where he's focused a lot on quality. He knows what quality looks like because he's made a lot of bad decisions when he was a beginner. So it's a flow state, right? It really depends on where you are right now. Somebody like me, I consider myself to be a beginner in content creation, actually, right? I do not consider myself to be an intermediate, but I know what the next step looks like because I was an intermediate in a different role within Web3 itself, right? So I know that, okay, first I have to get it wrong. A lot of times it's not necessary. I'm not saying, even if you produce Mozart level stuff, that you're still a beginner, so it has to be wrong. Don't force it. Don't make it a dogma out of what I'm saying. Understand the underlying rationale. Okay, you did this, you threw a couple of good punches, you threw a lot of bad ones. What was the common thread amongst all the good punches? Try to do more of that. Then you go from basically doing a lot to doing less but giving more, and then to doing nothing. You only produce absolute bangers, right? So that's basically like the flow that I have in my head when I think through these questions myself. And I would also say, don't try to judge yourself too harshly in the beginning. Most of the times, your desire to put out something perfect or something better is a masked defense against you trying to do anything. You don't want to do it. You're too afraid internally. So you're like, you know what? I'll probably edit that video one more time before I put it out. So definitely don't fall into that trap. Be okay with like appearing
Yeah.
as you are.
Yeah. So I have this thing. So I usually like to like just write scripts and give it to like agencies who is into like I would say 3D video content creation, like the animation and all sort of things. And I just I had an opportunity to like write script for once or twice, and the video went very well. So I think there are also like many ways that uh, you can just do things in terms of content creation. It's not just that you have to do all of the things. Maybe you can just do one good thing, and if that clicks, then it's also one of the best ways to like do this. Um, but yeah, moving forward, um, since we have been so this is one of my follow-up question is that I have been seeing I have been like witnessing a lot of similar city trends right now. Like a lot of folks have been trying to uh, put in a lot of effort into production, and just they're just trying to simplify like how the complex things are. It could be stable coins, it could be like certain products. They're just trying to create all sort of, I would say, edge type of videos to simplify it for the general audience, and it's going pretty well. Like I'm just loving what these folks are doing right now. So do you want to like mention about your next upcoming topics that you are going to cover, uh, or maybe the way that you are doing it right now, or maybe if you want to like change it a bit?
I would say that I will continue to make these whiteboard style videos that I sometimes
Yeah,
make. And I often make a lot of videos on topics that I myself do not understand, because then when I am forced to teach it or when I'm forced to talk about it in public, two things happen. One, I'm really concerned somebody's going to call me out in public, so I do my research well. And secondly,
yeah,
if I really do get something wrong genuinely, and somebody calls me out in public and corrects me, and I'm happy to be corrected in that point of time. In terms of future projects, I am, without revealing too much, because it's the
yeah,
first time I'm
yeah.
talking
Obviously, yeah,
since my departure from Redaba, I'm exploring a way to give back to the community, to Web3 in general, which I think would be something that I would be really proud to associate my name with. So it's a personal project that I'm working on. I'm not, as of today, going to any protocol or going to any existing establishment. Rather than, I'm starting something for myself separately.
yeah,
So that's the miniature announcement in some sense, the
yeah,
teaser exclusively
yeah,
on Wormhole India.
yeah,
I would also say You mentioned something about, simplifying topics, but I want the audience to realize that you don't actually have to do that. You can keep things very complex. You just will attract a different types of audience. You'll just attract some Bitcoin dev who is an OG since 2011, who doesn't really care about, how blockchains work because he was there when blockchains were being made to work in the first time. So he probably wants something complex. So there are different people who appreciate different things. But one thing that I have discovered to be a very good rule of thumb is do something hard and difficult. If it's not difficult, if it's not hard, chances are you're walking a path that has already been walked on before, many times, multiple times. The obvious risk to that is ruin, that you end up being ruined. But luckily, um, people say you only live once, but life gives you a lot of chances. It's not the end of the world. You're literally in one of the most abundant industries across the world. So don't be afraid to take a shot, right? Do something really, really difficult and then document it. I think that gets you a lot more views, a lot more, I would say, attention, a lot more respect from peers around you. And I've seen this when I make videos which are like low effort because, video making is not that really tough if you have a Loom subscription.
Yeah,
So you can really make videos like on the fly. But whenever you try to do that, it's almost like, human beings have evolved with like this sixth sense where they can guess how much effort went into a particular point of work. If they judge that, okay, not a lot of effort was put into it, trust me, it will not have the intended impact. But if they can feel that yes, this person actually researched something and then, either made it easy for me, either did it faster for me, or either explained it in a way that I had not seen before or that I understand better, then they will definitely connect with it. So it's not, so it's both things. One is that it has to
yeah,
be difficult, and the second one is that you have to explain it in a way that you want your audience to understand it. So if you're aiming for like newcomers to the space, definitely do that. You've got John from Kalshi now. I think he's joined Kalshi, right? I think it's I think it's Adam, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
once you have him, he's now only talking about prediction markets. So we are
yeah,
seeing people pick specific niches to talk about, and that's all they talk about. But you don't have to do that. That's the important part. I'm not pointing fingers to say, okay, be like him. I'm saying be like you. But that particular style of content, which is only talking about a particular category, did not exist a couple of years ago. In fact, it just started off like after the infofire revolution and everything, right? That, that okay, I'll dial down and only talk about this project. Whether that's good or that's bad, it's a separate topic. I'm just saying that there's a new category and there will always be new categories. So don't confine yourself to a limiting set of categories. If you genuinely feel like, okay, I want to create content which is like in the middle of stable coins and cooking, find a way. If you genuinely find a way, go for it.
yeah, awesome. And I would say one more direct question here would be, since like if you are not, if you're aware about Wormhole fellow community, there are like 50 fellows in the Wormhole India fellow community, and majority of them are into like creating content, shipping some sort of articles, videos, and all sort of things, and they usually contribute to Wormhole ecosystem projects and Wormhole in general with their content creation skills. And I usually talk about like getting started as an intern or associate, since like you are doing awesome job. And if you would like to maybe if you would like to hire someone as an intern, or maybe if someone wants to team up with you as a contributor in general, what sort of, I would say, parameters as proof of work that you would consider like, hey, this is a guy or this is a girl like I would like to work with because they have got a certain proof of work which I really value.
So you've got the general stereotypes there, which is like which protocols have they worked with in the past. Definitely that helps. And sometimes
Okay.
having a protocol's name, if it's like a dubious, shady protocol, having it on your resume is actually a detractor. So it's much better that you apply as a fresher rather than if you apply with an organization that is known to, be a bad faith actor. People will just like screen that away from their head. Okay, no, not from this
Yeah.
protocol. I'm not saying that's right or that's bad. I'm just saying that's what happens. That's the cold, harsh reality, right? Secondly, I would say I would like to visit your Twitter profile. So definitely have an active one. Don't let it be only text. Have at least some images. Doesn't need to be yours. Can be memes as well. That's definitely important. The main factor that I'm looking for is, does this person actually help me ease up my job? Is this person somebody who can like grab onto things really, really fast? That is what I'm trying to optimize for. Is this person somebody who has like in-depth knowledge about their particular area? Which is like one of the questions that I would like to ask them, is that, okay, tell me what do you know the most about in Web3? And then I'll ask the most basic questions. And it's not that because I know the answer. Maybe even I don't know the answer to those basic
Yeah,
questions. But I'm relying on your expertise. I want to see what's your best. What does your best look like? So once I
yeah,
have that, I think I can make a pretty good judgment of, okay, do I want to work with this person or not? Be impressive, and a very good rule of thumb again would be to reverse engineer. If you are working currently as a wormhole fellow, see what the fellowship is aiming to do. I'm not aware
yeah,
what it is aiming to do. But if you're a wormhole fellow, you need to be aware of what the fellowship aims to do, right? Maybe it is to, for example, increase revenue of wormhole. Just an example,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
How can you improve revenue of wormhole? How can you impact it? If you
yeah,
have a very good understanding of this, then I think you have a very good direction that, okay, and that direction does not come, from the skies above. You basically
yeah,
just eliminate options. Like, increasing revenue. Perhaps me driving circles around my parking lot in a car is not going to solve that. So that's eliminated, right? So then I think you'll at least be in the ballpark figure of, okay, this is what I probably have to do. That will get you noticed a lot more within the wormhole ecosystem as well. And when you go
yeah,
to a new interview, people are going to be like, okay, what did you do at wormhole? Then you can explain, not with, okay, I wrote tweets or I made content. You can be like, okay, the fellowship was launched because of X reason. I realized that my Y skill set could help Wormhole achieve the X agenda. Hence, I did this. That is way more impactful. So, this
yeah,
logical
yeah,
linking, because the interviewer does not, honest to God, does not have a lot of bandwidth. They probably,
yeah,
thinking about what they're going to have for lunch, or they're probably thinking about, okay, what the next call is, right? So, you only have like very few minutes to make that mark, perhaps the first
yeah.
five. If you're in, you're in.
Yeah. So about the fellowship, it's the proposition is always like the for fellows, it's the North Star metric is that how they can grow themselves in the wormhole ecosystem. And one of the best ways that they can just do things in the ecosystem is that I have mentioned this a lot of times in our like community calls that hey, if you wanna like grow into the ecosystem, one thing that you should chase is like finding out gaps in the ecosystem and try to start your own initiatives and seek out help from us. Like we are already there to help you out with anything you want to do that particular thing. So this is a leverage for you to like just be in touch with us and receive all sort of ecosystem and community resources to do that particular thing. So this is what all sort of the community is about that we have. But yeah, um, we have got 2 more minutes, and maybe we can just wrap this conversation with you with one last quick question. Is that if you would like to summarize our whole conversation into some sort of actionable items for anyone who is listening to us right now, that they can just start doing, just following those actionable items from today itself.
Yeah, I would say, get a piece of paper, stare at a blank wall for 4 hours, write down what does your life's end game look like, figure out what you can do either in this industry or outside of the industry to meet that objective. Whatever the end game kind of looks like for you, whatever you really like to do, figure out what is something appreciable or impressive feat in that particular area. So, for example, if you're somebody who really likes health and fitness, okay, 100 kilometers in one day is mind boggling. It's like, wow, that guy
Yeah,
did that. Your average guy sitting on the next table on the restaurant is not that guy, right? Figure out how you can achieve that and then document that journey on your social media. And if you continue to do that, you will reap dividends. Like, this will have an impact on everything. You can do a lot of things wrong and get a few of them right and still hit a home run. And I think this the documentation process is like definitely a home run. And that's like one part. And the second part I would say is, if you're already working somewhere and you want to continue working there, always think about what the end goal for the organization is. Reverse it into what your actionables look like. So if it's revenue, if it's profit, if it's like getting more clients, or if it's like, getting more BD partners, okay, what can you do that you can track, that has a sizable impact on that particular number. And if you don't know that, then definitely explore that, find that out, talk to your manager. Because the unfortunate reality in Web3 teams is a lot of people are hired and then they're laid off just as soon, because somebody at the top
Yeah,
thought that, huh, okay, well, that's a lot of expense, man, that we're doing, we should probably get rid of these people. And you cannot make a case for yourself in front of the HR at that point of time. So you need to have that clarity beforehand, that if you ever have to make it, the person on top of you and the people on top of the person on top of you should have clear clarity. Okay, this person, Adonis, he's completely aware of how his actions are impacting company's targets. That's basically
yeah.
the entire conversation summarized.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. It's almost time now, and like I would like to go. We cannot hold you more enough, but it was an awesome conversation with you, and I would like to like jump in again with you to talk about a lot of more other things. It was a really an awesome conversation with you, honestly,
Thank you, man. Thank you.
and I would like to thank you for joining us again, and again everyone who is watching us right now. Thanks for joining in, and I'll see you folks in the next week for another AMA. And thanks, Adonis, again. And you can just wrap this up. Yeah,
All right. Thank you. Take care.
yeah. Thanks. Take care.